back to Inside City Hall. My first guest tonight has spent more than a year working to carry out the mayor's plans to reform the New York City Housing Authority, which bears responsibility for more than 400,000 New Yorkers and 328 public housing developments. Her agenda includes a new program called Fix It Forward, a major initiative to overhaul the authority's maintenance and repair operations. But the authority remains under a significant amount of criticism from advocates and from some tenants, and most lately from the city controller, who released yet another tough audit today detailing a backlog of repairs and offering a plan for reform. Joining me now to talk about it is Shola Olatoye. She is the chair and CEO of the New York City Housing Authority. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Nice to see you. Thank you for having me again.
We sort of have pendulum swings with NYCHA. For many, many years, you couldn't get anybody to look at it. Now it's getting more than its share of attention. Let me start with, I guess, the news of the day. The city controller says that the backlogs are greater than advertised, that there need to be some changes. What's your response?
You know, well, first, this administration, this mayor, from day one, has made the Housing Authority a key component of his agenda. And that's why I was so pleased to stand with him last month when we released our 10-year strategic plan, NextGenNYCHA, which really focuses on our core business. And that is ensuring that the quality of life of residents improves. And that means dealing with and proposing common sense solutions to real problems. And so we have done that not only throughout the 15 initiatives outlined in our plan, but also in our Fix It Forward initiative, which is really, really basic, right? If you're showing up to get your apartment inspected and there are 5 small things that can be fixed right there, let's just do that. Let's not start a whole series of work orders, etc. So these are things and initiatives that we heard, ideas that I heard, the team heard, as we fanned out across the city and listened to residents and to employees alike. And we're starting to hear some very good anecdotal evidence, and we will look forward to reporting out on a regular basis, not only to our board and our residents, but to the public at large. Transparency has been an incredibly important part of our work from day one. Within the first 90 days of my administration, we created something called NYCHA metrics. So where all of the data that is referenced in the report talked about today is already online and is updated on a monthly basis and available for folks to download. And we've heard from journalists, from students, from residents that for the first time they can actually find out information and data.
You're saying downloadable by the public?
That's correct.
So the recommendation from the city controller about a NYCHA stat, I mean, that's maybe just a name change, but you're saying you're already doing
We're already doing that. And look, I'll leave the politics to the politicians, but our job, my job, is to focus on those real practical solutions that actually change and improve the quality of life for our residents, and that's what we're doing.
You must have read about the case that was sort of spotlighted in one of the newspaper reports about a lady who had a leak, an active leak, and that it took too long, in her opinion, for NYCHA repairs to come, and that when they did, all they wanted to do was put up some drywall and literally just cover it as opposed to actually repairing it.
Right.
Is there some sense that this isn't just about the amount of time it takes to get to an apartment, but what's actually done once the person answers the door?
It's absolutely true. I mean, look, there is no question that residents have a right to be frustrated, and I've heard that frustration. And this mayor also recognizes that we need more than paint and plaster. We need to improve and replace roofs. Half of our buildings are 50 years old. And there's been a lack of maintenance over those 50 years. And so how do you address those? How do you address that leak? You get her a new roof. And so this mayor has invested $300 million over the next 3 years to replace NYCHA's worst roofs. And that we've already begun construction in Queensbridge houses, and we'll continue to tackle the next worst buildings. But there's no question that we have a series of challenges, but we are, and NextGenNYCHA does, is sort of focus on long-term financial sustainability for the Housing Authority and addressing our great capital need.
Is there any way to tell people in any given development, if they have that kind of serious structural problem, this is the date by which we expect you to have a new roof to stop mold, to stop leaks, to stop degradation of buildings?
Well, we have a 5-year capital plan, and again, the mayor's investment actually has helped us speed up that plan even more, because as you know, Errol, the money that we receive from the federal government, we are 99% funded by the federal government, is insufficient. If you were to break it down, it's actually about $2,000 per unit. That's not enough money to run any apartment. Certainly not apartments that have not seen real investment since they were built. So what we have is a 5-year capital plan that the mayor has now invested $300 million in, which has allowed us to bring forward projects that frankly were out in the out years. And that information is available online as well.
Okay. You have some critics, some community groups. They've been rallying and so forth. Some of them came on the show. I'll play you a little bit of an excerpt of what they had to say and give you a chance to respond.
Sure.
Let's take a look.
We've met with Ms. Olatoye. She has been accessible. She's been very respectful, but none of that has been good enough to get the mold out of our bathrooms.
What we don't hear is more of an issue. What we don't hear is an effort by Mr. de Blasio and the administration to bring about the structural changes that are going to really make a difference.
Your response.
Well, I reject that this administration hasn't done anything. This administration, from day one, has made NYCHA a central component of its focus. It was this mayor that reversed the decades-long practice of NYCHA paying property taxes, unlike any other affordable housing owner in New York City, dating back since the 1940s. It was this mayor that reversed the payment to the police for policing services, as if we were not New Yorkers like everyone else. So structural changes. That is structural changes. We have an nearly $17 billion capital deficit, and this mayor has made significant investments from day one to address that. So that's what Next Generation NYCHA is based upon, and that is what we are working to implement. I understand the frustration. I have seen apartments. I have talked to residents. I have talked to employees. This is a totally understandable set of emotions that people have, but this is 40 years of neglect that is not going to change in 15 months. And so what we have done and what this mayor has done is invested resources to deal with the root issues. We have trained staff to address, and working closely with the Department of Health and Rutgers University around mold remediation. We have put out sort of information, FAQ documents on how to prevent mold in your apartment. But when you have 50-year-old buildings that have not been invested in, and frankly, systematically disinvested in, the mold remains a challenge.
Metro IAF suggested that if the mayor were to spend 2 days a week simply working on NYCHA issues, that it would provide you the kind of backup that you might need in order to get faster progress on some of these fronts. Right. Now, obviously, we're not going to make the mayor's schedule for him, but do you feel that you have his personal buy-in, and how frequently do you talk with him about these things?
So the mayor and I talk regularly, and we meet weekly. And in the lead up to our plan, they were daily conversations. This is not about how many hours one clocks in the day. This is about where the mayor's and the administration's priorities, and more importantly, its investment is, and that has been with NYCHA. And I now have $300 million that I'm deploying throughout the authority on our worst roofs. I now have operating dollars to focus on real-time fix-it-forward initiatives. So, this is, again, a series this is a major challenge, but is a major priority and focus for this administration. And look, we have a housing crisis in this city. NYCHA already houses more than half of the city's lowest income residents. And so protecting this resource as an affordable housing resource is not only central to addressing that question, but essential to ensuring that public housing is around for another generation here in New York City.
The city controller suggests that there might be another $400 million available from the New York City, I guess the Battery Park
City Authority.
Yes.
We welcome, and
just to be clear, that's not under your purview in any way, shape, or form.
Not under our purview in any shape, way, or form. And this New York One has documented incredibly well the financial challenges that the Housing Authority faces, we welcome any opportunity to talk to folks that have ideas around other resources that we can include in our effort to address our capital need. I think more importantly, we are focused on a plan. Next Generation NYCHA are 15 specific initiatives. It's not a kitchen sink plan. These are 15 very specific initiatives focused on addressing the financial health of this organization. And that is what we're focused on, and we're looking at all sorts of resources to help change the funding model so that we have an organization that's around for another generation.
Okay, we're going to leave it there for now. Thank you for coming in. Congratulations. You just had a lovely, lovely little baby that you showed us a picture of. I hope she's watching tonight.
She's wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk again soon. Right now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, author Bruce Porter and journalist Bob Capstatter will help us preview a new documentary about the 1977 blackout, a night that changed New York forever. Later on in our Consultants Corner, I'll ask 4 top strategists about the latest in the race for president, including Hillary Clinton's major speech here in New York City earlier today. Stay with us.